Well, earlier we showed you that surprising new poll out of Iowa. It shows Vice President Harris up 3 points over the former president, 47% to 44%, which is a big turnaround from the same poll in September. Now, that number is still within the margin of error, so there's no clear leader. But a swing like this, and from such a well-respected pollster with a long track record in Iowa, has some wondering if this could be an indication that Harris may overperform in the Midwest Tuesday night, including even in battlegrounds like Wisconsin. Today, while speaking in Pennsylvania, the former president attacked the pollster and said the poll was intentionally skewed to favor Harris.
I got a poll, I'm 10 points up in Iowa. One of my enemies just puts out a poll, I'm 3 down. Why do they announce a poll that's highly skewed toward Democrats and liberals? Why do they do that? When you read it, they interviewed far more Democrats than they did Republicans. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? And I guess there's a law that they have to say that because they would have preferred not having to say that.
Well, I'm joined now by J.N. Selzer, whose firm, Selzer and Company, conducted the poll. And back with us is David Axelrod and John King. And first of all, how surprised were you at these numbers? What do you make of them? And also, obviously, feel free to respond to what the former president said.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. We first saw the numbers on Tuesday morning. Monday night was the first night in the field. And I walked into the office and I'd seen the unweighted data, and it had Harris leading. And my assistant said, "Did you see the data?" And I said, "I'd like to see weighted data." So the weighting is how we take care of things that would make our poll unrepresentative. We align things with a known population, and we extract from a larger group the people who meet our definition of likely voters, and that is people who've already voted and people who say they will definitely vote. So when former President Trump says we interviewed more Democrats, well, that's what came out of our data. We did nothing to make that happen. I'm a big believer of keeping my dirty fingers off the data. So we did it the way we did it when he won in our final poll twice in 2 election cycles. Very same method.
He said you're an enemy of his. Clearly that's not the case. You have had polls in the past which have shown, that Hillary Clinton wasn't going to do as well in Iowa as a lot of people thought. So you have been, delivered news which has upset Democrats and upset Republicans and people all over the map in the past.
Right, without favor toward one side or the other. I think that the best news I can deliver, and this is true of my non-election related clients, the best news I can deliver is my best shot at what's true. Because then you know what you're working with, and you can make adjustments as you need to. But I can't see that there's any advantage to me or my career in messing with the numbers to make it look a particular way. There's no upsides.
Yeah. I want to bring in John and David Axelrod because they all know you and respect you, and I know they want to ask you questions. John, I know you've been reading through the poll. What sticks out to you? And feel free to ask Ann whatever you'd like.
Yeah, quick piece of history first. This is the 2020 map. Let's just bring out Iowa. And you say, a lot of people out there probably saying, oh, come on, that can't be possible. Look at that big Trump win in 2020 and look at this big Trump win in 2016. But you have Mr. Axelrod at the table as well. It is possible. It is possible. It's been a while, but Iowa voted overwhelmingly for Obama in 2012 and 2008 as well. The people of Iowa follow the news, and there are a lot of independents in Iowa. Here's what I want to pop up for Ann. And as I bring it up right now, I just want to say, despite what the former president just said, I've known Ann for a long time, and I've known her work for a long time. She's one of the best in the business, Anderson, and she's absolutely right. The data is what the data is, and you report the data, and then you talk about it. So here's interesting, Ann, in your poll, among female voters in Iowa, overall, a 20-point gap, 56 to 36%, number one. And now I want to bring up, independents. You're always looking late in a campaign. Where are the independents going, right? If the Democrats are loyal to their candidate, the Republicans are loyal to theirs, where are the independents going? These are independent female voters in Iowa. Look at that. Wow, 57 to 29. My question for you, Ann, would be, why? The 6th-week abortion ban in Iowa took place a couple months ago. Trump has been pretty dark in his rhetoric in recent days, insulting the vice president quite a bit. Is it something she's saying, something he's saying, something within Iowa that's changing the climate, all of the above?
I'm going to go with all of the above because I can't single one thing out. I will note that our previous polls this year, in February and in June, Trump led with independents.
Right.
So what happened between June and September? Biden left the ticket. Kamala Harris joined it. There was a surge of enthusiasm. We saw it. There was a surge in the proportion of people we talked to who said they would definitely vote. That was our criterion in June. And now we have an additional criterion if you've already voted. And especially among older people, it's over 90% incidence of people that we talk to in that age group who say they're going to vote, and they tend to vote for Kamala Harris and women in that age group specifically and strikingly.
And let me ask you something, and I don't want to geek out here because you sort of touched on it, but we hear a lot of pollsters, and Nate Cohn wrote about this in the New York Times this morning, talking about non-response bias, that to try and explain why polls have been so off in the past few cycles in capturing some of this infusion of Trump voter that they hadn't spoken with and hadn't been included in their sample. And so they've tried to find ways to weight their polls to account for that and cut that number down. You don't believe that is that's the way to go. Explain it.
Well, I can control what I can control. I can weight to known population parameters.
By the way, when you say
So
wait,
we talked.
I think a lot of people don't know
Yeah.
what that means. What does that mean?
It will sound very anti-democratic. It's some people get a little bit more than one vote, and some people get a little bit less than one vote. So if we end up in our sample and we take a sample of all adults in the state of Iowa, and if we've got too many who are older or too many that are women, we adjust it to look like the census. So we're weighting within congressional districts because they're not all aged appropriately. Some of them have state universities and so on. But we want to adjust our data so it looks like a cross-section of the state of Iowa when it comes to age, sex, geography in particular, race, sometimes education, not so much anymore. And then from that bigger pool, over 1,000 people, we pull out the 808 who met one of our criteria to be a likely voter. They've already voted, or they say that they will definitely vote. And so from that, cross-section, proper cross-section of the state, if older people are more likely to say they're going to vote, they show up in more plentiful numbers in our likely voter sample.
I see.
It's just that easy. So what I say is I'm allowing my data to reveal to me this future electorate. And the people who are using the exit polls or the recalled vote, which I don't think of as very reliable at all, I call that polling backward. So
Got it.
they're adjusting their data to fix the last mistake. I've always allowed my data to show me, without fear or favor, my best shot at what this future electorate is going to look like.
It's
Can I
really,
just second John's point?
Yeah, quick.
Which is, I've worked with you, Ann, over the years. You've polled races I was involved in, and you are a person of great integrity and skill. So when you say something, people listen.
All right. And Selzer, really great to have you on. Thank you so much.